A girl named Emma is looking at a cat drowning in the fountain of their house, but the strange thing is that she feels nothing, and instead of helping the cat, she prepares herself to go to her school. It's clear that Emma is a smart and talented girl, so that she has many certificates of appreciation. She is an organized girl, and she loves everything put in its place. After that, she goes out to have breakfast with her father David, and they live alone after her mother died. Then, she tells him that their school will present a medal to the ideal student this month, and that she'll win a medal. After a while, her Aunt Angela arrives and they welcome her. She tells David to find another nanny to take care of Emma instead of the nanny who died. But Emma tells her that she doesn't want a nanny. Then, she looks at the fountain and tells them about the dead cat. After that, David takes out the dead cat and tells her not to be upset, but she feels nothing too. When she goes to school, a wasp enters the classroom, and all the students get scared. But Emma goes away quietly and puts it in a cup. She then makes it fly out of the window, and the teacher Mrs. Ellis thanks her. We then know that Mrs. Ellis is responsible for the ideal student competition. Meanwhile, David is interviewing a new babysitter, Chloe, and he reads her CV to know if she is appropriate or not. He then accepts to hire her and tells her to start her work next week. At school, Emma overhears her classmate Katie talking to a boy named Milo. Katie then takes his watch and wears it because she likes it. After that, Emma falls Katie while she is running, but then she says sorry to her and helps her get up. Emma does this so that Mrs. Ellis sees her and knows that she is a perfect girl and helps her friends. Actually, Emma steals Milo's watch from Katie. In the evening, Emma trains herself on how to laugh and speak innocently before people. Today, it's the day that will be awarded the prize to the ideal student. Emma prepares herself and her father brushes her hair, but she is moving her leg nervously. On the way, she is absent-minded and doesn't speak. In the ceremony, she looks at the medal and wants to take it, but Mrs. Ellis announces that Milo is the ideal student and gives him the prize. Emma is so sad at the time, and she can't believe that she lost the prize this month. By the way, David asks Mrs. Ellis about Emma, and she says she's superior. But Mrs. Ellis feels like she is living in her own world, and she can't expect her reaction in any situation. Then, she tells him to join her in social activities to have more friends. David goes to talk to Emma and tells her not to be upset. Also, he tells her that Milo is definitely special in something, so he took it. But she tells him that Milo is a jellyfish and doesn't deserve the prize. After a while, she takes Milo to the forest and tells him that she'll show him something until they get to the higher place. At this time, she looks at the medal for a long time. Milo gets worried and tells her that they have to go back, but she falls him down and takes the medal, then goes back to her father. Milo's mother asks her about him, but she tells her that she didn't see him. Suddenly, two girls are screaming because they find Milo's body between the rocks. At this time, everyone is running to save him, but unfortunately, he died. By the way, Emma sees his mother devastated, but she doesn't feel anything. At home, David talks to Angela because he is afraid that what happened will affect Emma, but they don't know that she hears them. The next day, he wakes up and finds her taking her breakfast. So, he sits with her and tries to calm her down, but he is surprised that she talks with him very normally. It appears that she doesn't care about her colleague's death, and David is surprised. After that, the new nanny Chloe arrives. Then, he takes her to show her home, and introduces her to Emma. In the evening, he goes out and leaves them alone. Meanwhile, Chloe sees David's photos, and it appears that she likes him. But Emma sees her and watches her, until she finds Chloe stealing sedative medicine. After a while, they both sit down and watch TV, and Chloe asks her if she is still sad about her colleague's death. But Emma tells her that there is no benefit from her grief, because he is dead. After some seconds, Chloe tells Emma that she has no feelings. Emma gets annoyed and tells her that she saw her stealing the medicine. Chloe is shocked, but Emma tells her that she won't tell her father in exchange for not giving her orders. And Emma orders her to give her ice cream. Chloe is angry, but she must do what Emma wants. The next day, Emma and her father attend Milo's funeral. All his colleagues cry, and she acts like she is sad. In this moment, David knows from Milo's family that they can't find their son's medal. Emma returns home with her father, but he notices that she isn't sad. Also, he feels that she is acting, and he then goes to put her clothes in the closet. Meantime, Her toy falls under the bed and he takes it. Fortunately, he doesn't notice her medal, which is hidden under the bed. In the evening, David looks at the photos of the party, but he sees Emma looking at Milo and focuses on the medal angrily. At this point, he doubts of her. The next day, Mrs. Ellis goes to school with her lawyer, and she tells David that someone saw Emma with Milo as they entered the woods. In this time, Emma hears them. She then breaks a jar and falls on the ground to cut off their words. Mrs. Ellis and the lawyer go away, and David treats Emma's wound. After that, Emma tells him that Mrs. Ellis hates her and has never loved her. He comes out of her room while he is confused about what is happening. The next day, Chloe goes to him while he is working in the workshop that he had made in the garage of the house. She asks him if she can go out with Emma. Then, she wants to smoke, but he tells her to go outside because the place contains flammable materials. By then, she leaves him and goes out with Emma. On their way, they see Mrs. Ellis entering Milo's house, and Chloe is sure that Emma is the reason for his death. So, she tells her to prepare a story to tell them about what she does. At this moment, Emma deals as if she doesn't do anything. When they return home, Chloe tells her about the punishment when the police know the truth, and Emma gets so nervous about Chloe. After some time, Chloe searches for her at home and couldn't find her. By chance, Chloe sees Milo's medal, and it appears that the wasp's nest next to the workshop isn't there. At this time, Mrs. Ellis goes away from Milo's house and gets into her car, but she can't see the wasp's nest on the sofa behind. She is surprised that a wasp is walking on her face, and she will have an accident. But she can avoid the car before her and continue on her way. After that, David comes home from work and checks on Emma, then goes to his room, but he doesn't see the medal in the lampshade. Then, Emma goes and talks with him. She sees the medal and quickly goes to take it, so that he can't see it. But he notices that she is hiding something in her hands, and asks her to show him what she hides. He looks at her while he is shocked, and sits with her to explain to him how did she take it. After that, Chloe enters them, and tells David that she found the medal under the bed. Then, Emma looks at her angrily, then tells her father that she and Milo were playing, and they agreed if she won, she'd take the medal. So, she won and took it. But David takes the medal and goes out. After a little, he calls his sister to see a therapist. On his way, he sees an accident, and the ambulance and police are there. While David is sleeping, he dreams that Milo is looking at Emma. She looks at his medal, and he gets up terrified. In the morning, Emma gets angry with Chloe because of what she did, and she tells Chloe that she knows her well. She knows that Chloe wants her father to be away from her, to get closer to him. Meanwhile, David comes down and takes Emma, then goes to Milo's family. There, she gives the medal to his mother, and his mother is surprised that the medal is with her. But Emma tells her that they were playing, and she wore it for a while. Also, she was afraid to turn it back after what happened. The mother thanks her and tells them that Mrs. Ellis died in an accident because of a wasp's nest that was in her car. Then, Emma cries and acts like she is sad, saying that she is her favorite teacher. After a while, David and Emma walk, and he notices that she becomes good. She runs and wants to play, so he gets very worried about her. When David returns to his work in the workshop, he notices that the wasp's nest, which was in the ceiling, isn't there. At this time, he doubts that Emma has a hand in Mrs. Ellis' murder. The next day, he takes her to the therapist and enters to talk to her first. David tells her that she is lying to him and that he no longer trusts her. Also, he tells her that her behavior is strange, and he feels that she had no feelings. After that, the therapist sits with Emma, and she lies throughout the session. The therapist knows that Emma is a normal girl. She then tells David that his daughter is like any girl of her age, and tells him to get close to her and understand her. They return home, and David finds Chloe sitting in the sun. Then, he tells her to go to Emma in her room, but Chloe goes to her and makes her annoyed. She tells Emma that David likes her, and soon she will be her father's wife. So, Emma looks at her angrily, and it's clear that Emma thinks of something bad for Chloe. In the evening, David is surprised by Emma in his room. Actually, she tells him what Chloe said, and tells him that she doesn't want a father's wife. David tells her not to worry, and walks quickly because he has an appointment. Then, Chloe sits down and watches TV, but hears a loud voice. Chloe goes to see what is happening, but can't find Emma. Also, she imagines someone in David's workshop. As soon as she enters the workshop, the door locks on her from the outside. She tries to open it, but she can't. Suddenly, the fire full of the whole room, and Chloe is very afraid. Then, she sees Emma standing outside the window and looks at her. Chloe breaks the window to get out, but the fire catches on her. Emma looks at her until she is sure that Chloe is dead and walks away. When David returns, he sees the police and firefighters at his house. He goes quickly to check on his daughter and knows that Chloe died. And he feels that all these crimes definitely aren't by chance. When the police are going, he sits with Emma and tells her that he loves her the most. He wants to help her, but he wants Emma to tell him the truth. Firstly, he asks her about Milo, and she confesses to him that she took the medal from him. At that time, Milo threatened her that he would tell Mrs. Ellis that she had stolen it. So, she pushed him and he fell. David is shocked by what he heard and asks her about the accident that happened to the nanny before Chloe. Emma says that the nanny pulled her by the arm with force, so she hit her with her leg. The nanny then fell from the stairs and died, and that Mrs. Ellis was going to let the police reach her because she didn't want to close the Milo case. At this moment, Emma is so nervous. She tells him that Chloe wanted to be her father's wife, and she never agrees with that. After all of this, David is terrified of Emma, and he can't believe that his daughter did all this. In the morning, the investigator calls him to ask Emma some questions, but David lies to him and tells him that his daughter is very tired. He tells him when she becomes well, they'll go to him, and quickly, he wakes her up, then go to their house on the lake, because he wants to think quietly about what he will do. But the housekeeper Brian meets them there, and welcomes them. David talks to Angela, and tells her what happens, but she doesn't believe that Emma does all of this. In this time, he has a gun and it appears that he'll do something. After a while, the police call him, then tell him that the workshop fire happened by someone, and they will know who does this after the results of the forensic analysis appear. After that, David has a bad dream and he is so exhausted, then notices that Emma watching him, and he shouts at her. When he sleeps at night, she kisses him and opens the gas to get rid of him. Then, she takes a juice and goes for a walk by the lake. Fortunately, David wakes up at the last moment, and he turns off the gas quickly. Meantime, he sees his daughter looking at him. He goes toward her and asks her why she does this. Emma tells him that if something happens to him, her Aunt Angela will take her because she loves her and wants to live with her. David tries to reassure her, and they enter the house. He makes juice, but puts a large number of sedative pills in her cup. David is so sad when he does this, but he can't do anything else. Then, he gives the cup to her, but she asks him to bring her a cup of water, and he goes to bring it, then sits beside her until she falls asleep. He calls Angela and tells her that Emma tried to get rid of him. Also, he tells her that he must protect her from herself, or she'll go to the prison. But Angela also doesn't believe him. While he's asleep, Emma wakes up and goes to him. She has a gun with her, and makes him catch and shoot himself. Fortunately, the bullet doesn't shoot him, and he wakes up, but he becomes dizzy, and she tells him that she knows what he is thinking about, and that's why she changed the cups, and he drank her cup. He tries to take the gun from her, but she quickly calls the police, and tells them that her father is running after her with a gun. Emma then runs, and hides in the bathroom and screams. David breaks down the bathroom door, but before he shoots her with a gun, the housekeeper Brian appears with a gun. He tells David to leave his gun, but David refuses, and he wants to shoot her, and himself as well. Brian shoots David with fire, and he dies immediately. In the morning, the police arrive and take David's body, and Angela goes to Emma. Angela tells her that David is a psycho, and she will compensate her for what she lived with him. Emma hugs her, but she smiles after she did